People's National Party's Vice Presidents Damian Crawford, Wickham McNeil and Michael Phillips and Party Chairman Philip Paulwell resigned their positions with immediate effect this morning. The party's chairman Philip Paulwell confirmed the resignations. In a joint press release to the media, it was disclosed that Vice President Michael Phillips, who was recently nominated, has also decided to withdraw his nomination to be a vice president. The three VPs and the party chairman say they've engaged the wider leadership of the party in good faith negotiation to avoid a further widening of the internal rift, recognizing that the party's leader had declared publicly that the party could not countenance another divisive internal election at this time. The three VPs and the party chairman say they arrived at this decision today, recognizing the risk of another internal election before the wounds of the last presidential elections were adequately healed. The statement says the discussion within the party continued for more than 3 weeks, with some officers volunteering to step aside for the sake of unity. However, they concluded that the sincerity of certain members of the leadership was not forthcoming, and that the minimalist effort towards unity was a charade that is inimical to a genuine pursuit of unity. The statement says, despite all the reasonable efforts to broker a platform of unity, there were otherwise covert attempts to sabotage the goal of peace and harmony, with a plan to hoard the available positions in line with previous public statements made by the leader, who pronounced a lack of trust for persons who did not support him in his campaign leadership, and his preference to surround himself with only individuals who overtly endorsed his candidacy. The three VPs and the party chairman say therefore to continue their sincere efforts to preserve the party, which has served this nation well and has been at the forefront of much of its development. They've decided to resign from their current positions and turn their efforts towards rebuilding the constituency organizations. Meanwhile, it was also reported that the PNP Youth Organization, PNPYO's president, Crystal Tomlinson, also resigned today. Meanwhile, the PNP has confirmed in a statement that it has received the resignations of the incumbent vice president and chairman. Also in the statement, the party said that certain allegations were made in their resignation letter, which are not accurate. However, these will be dealt with in the appropriate party forum. Responding to the resignations, party president Mark Golding said, quote, "Discussions with respect to the 4 vice presidential candidates were attempted, but unfortunately, these did not lead to consensus. It seems that the response of these 4 officers was to resign en bloc. While I am saddened by this action, their resignations are accepted. Nevertheless, I remain willing to work with these senior comrades in the best interest of the party." End quote. He went on to say that he reaffirms his commitment to building unity in the party, acknowledging that they all have important roles to play in achieving this. He also stated that Jamaica needs the PNP more than ever, as hardships and insecurity stalk this land under the JLP government, and that he will continue to stride forth with all willing comrades as they build back their party, ready to deliver competent, caring, and honest government for beloved Jamaica whenever they are called upon by the Jamaican people. The party says it will issue a further statement on this matter in due course. In other news tonight, women and children of Wilton Gardens, popularly known as REMA, are crying out for peace as crime and violence has been rampant in their community. Here is Colleen May with more on this story.
A group of women and children took to the streets of Wilton Gardens, popularly known as Rema, in Trenchtown, West Kingston yesterday, calling for an end to the violence and bloodshed in the community. Tracy Ann Miller, a resident of the community, says that she is calling for peace and intervention by the security forces and other agencies.
I'm standing here on behalf of my community crying out, myself and other family members, even with children crying out. We want a different life. We want different lifestyle. We want more community development. We're tired of violence. Imagine the country's under 11 o'clock curfew and we have to be going in at 4 o'clock because of gang violence inside of the community. No more. We standing against gang violence, standing against innocent lives being lost, standing against every negativity. We stand for peace right now in the middle of 5th Street, calling out other members of the community. We are against what's happening in the community. Imagine a life was lost Sunday night and then another life lost Tuesday night. I'm not up for that. No more. Winston Muir, he was shot and killed on Tuesday night, otherwise known as Baggyman, on 6th Street corner in front of his son, his 12-year-old son. We're tired of this, tired of it. Crying out for help from all of the security forces, crying out for help from all of the agencies. PMI, where are you? We need help. We're asking for help. Police them depend them zone and them posted them for there. But we'd like some inter-community policing.
Stacey Ann Brown, a family member of a man that was shot and killed in the community, speaks out against the violence.
Innocent uncle. Winston no trouble nobody. My uncle a peacemaker. My uncle alone. Shot in a fire in a trench. What Winston do? What my uncle do for them, take him innocent life. What my uncle do them? What Winston do now? Wanna keep my uncle innocent. The whole community knows that my uncle innocent. My uncle do a boil soup, Winston no trouble, oh no. And the leaf I want to come take my uncle out of my life. My one little uncle I know.
Another resident, Shanice Walker, says that she's crying out for her children's safety as the violence is also affecting them.
I'm scared. I have to go to my bed before time. I'm tired. I can't take it no more. No more. We don't want to stress. We have to put them. We have to put them on the road. We put them on the road 24/7. And them have to go in before time. Them can't play. Them can't do nothing at all. School for what? I come in September. And the violence are going, all school are open. The people them cannot come across the road and straight shot catch them. We're tired of it. School locked too long now, and now our school for a war. We're tired of it. We can't too much innocent life. Too much innocent life I take. Me attack on the Wilton Garden side. Because nothing now go on our side and we keep it up. And sit down on it until we reach our doorstep when it's too late. Because when it reach our doorstep, it's too late. And then we are going to cry and say, if we didn't know, when it's too late. No, the curfew in the area, the place stands. The place stands everywhere there. They shut them, lock up. We have to go in before time because we're afraid. The place there, the place stands. And we have to go in. No more innocent, man. No more innocent.
Reporting for Mello TV News, I am Colleen May.
Thank you, Colleen. And continuing with the news tonight, senior investigators assigned to the Denham Town Police Station have launched a top-level probe into the fatal shooting of 10-year-old Jaheem Bogle of Curry Pathway, Kingston 12, who was shot on Collie Smith Drive in the parish yesterday. Reports from the Denham Town Police coming into our news centre regarding the incident are that at approximately 5:30 p.m., Jaheem was riding his bicycle along Collie Smith Drive when several explosions were heard. When the shooting subsided, his father discovered that he had received a gunshot wound to the head. He was assisted to the hospital where he was admitted in critical condition. He succumbed to his injuries earlier today. The police are appealing to anyone with information that can assist in this investigation to contact the Denham Town Police at 876-922-6441, Crime Stop at 311 or the nearest police station. The Kingston police have commenced an investigation into the death of a popular fruit vendor who was fatally shot by armed men along a section of Amara Road in Kingston this morning. The deceased has been identified so far only as Steve Gordon, also of a Kingston address. Reports from the police coming into our news center tonight are that at approximately 6:45 a.m., Gordon, who was popular for selling fruits to motorists along O'Mara and Hagley Park roads, was peeling oranges when he was approached by two men. One of the men reportedly brandished a handgun and opened fire, hitting him multiple times before leaving the scene. The police were summoned, and upon their arrival, Gordon, who was discovered suffering from gunshot wounds, was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. We go to news now from Montego Bay, where a man known only as Sanchez was fatally shot last night in the vicinity of River Bay Road in the parish. This follows a triple murder on Wednesday night. Deceased are 28-year-old Sean Holness and his 28-year-old girlfriend, Jodianne Roberts, in Granville, along with 31-year-old Rodianne Slowly in the community of Salt Spring. The motives behind these killings are unclear at this time. We will bring you more on this story in subsequent newscasts. Continuing with the news tonight, Jamaica has recorded 4 more COVID-19 fatalities, pushing the total of virus-related deaths now to 1,140. Those who have died are a 72-year-old female from St. James, whose death was formally recorded as under investigation, a 90-year-old woman from Kingston and St. Andrew, an 86-year-old man from Hanover, whose death was previously under investigation, and an 81-year-old male from Hanover, whose death was previously listed as under investigation as well. Meanwhile, there were 70 new cases ranging in age from 7 months to 80 years, increasing the total to 50,983, of which 5,278 are active. Of the new cases, 35 are women and 35 are men. St. Elizabeth dominates the new cases with 16 recorded, followed by Kingston and St. Andrew with 10 cases, and then Hanover and Westmoreland with 8 cases each. In the meantime, there are 1,050 more recoveries, increasing that total to 44,207. 8 persons are in government quarantine, while 47,209 persons are at home. Still tonight, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says that in order for us to recover quickly and fully, more persons must get vaccinated.
We're seeing the recovery generally, globally, being led and paralleling vaccination rates. So countries where we're seeing high vaccination rates, we're seeing their economies recovering faster, and that will have a spillover effect as well. We will see the impact in our tourism numbers. People will want to travel now that they are fully vaccinated. In Jamaica, we cannot allow vaccine hesitancy to impact the pace of our recovery. We cannot allow that to happen. Because the same people who don't take the vaccine, who get ill, who demand spaces in our hospital and treatment for our doctors, will say, why isn't the government providing the resources to do so? The resources don't come from here. We don't pick it off trees. It comes from the spending of tourists, the spending of investors, doing projects like this from which we get the taxes, from which we then pay the doctors and the hospitals to serve you.
He also said that As more vaccines become available, he urges each of us to make every effort to be vaccinated.
There's a reason, why we can't get vaccines. The smarter people in the world take up all the vaccine. They make sure they have it first. The richer people, they make sure they have the vaccines first. That's why we don't have vaccines readily available. And we must be wondering, why is that so? What is it they know that we don't know? And why are we following, which I will just call nonsense arguments about the vaccines? Take the vaccines. Jamaica's had a long and beneficial history with vaccines. All of you, when you were in primary school, took vaccines. It wiped out many diseases that threatened us. So I'm using this platform to appeal to every single Jamaican. When the time comes, take the vaccine.
Mr. Holness gave updates on the vaccination of the vulnerable groups.
Now, hopefully, we will have some more supplies of vaccines, and from those supplies that we have always been saying we expect to be fully supplied in terms of being able to treat with the vulnerable groups fully by August. Once we have cleared that group in the society, then we will start to progress down the line in terms of other age groups of persons who would be given access to the vaccines. The quicker we take them, and we have demonstrated that we can roll out vaccines very quickly, the quicker we take them is the more appealing our economy looks. When people have to make their travel decisions, Jamaica's vaccination rate is high and comparable to where I'm coming from, so that is a safe place to be. We can't have it both ways. We can't want to open up the economy and don't want to take the vaccines. The two things are just not going to work. And if we keep the economy closed, we can't provide the services that you need. So it is important that we be rational and reasonable and take the vaccine.
Still making Mello TV news tonight, Favour Williams, Minister of Education, Youth and Information, hosted a press conference earlier today where she officially released the results of the recent sitting of Primary Exit Profile PEP. Here is Carol Dean Johnson with more on this story.
Earlier today, Minister of Education, Youth and Information Favour Williams officially released the results of the recent sitting of the Primary Exit Profile PEP, along with other achievement test results. Minister Williams said that 31,479 of the students were placed in one of their preferred schools.
31,479, or 84.44% of students, were placed in one of their preferred schools. As you will recall, since 2015, parents have been given the opportunity to indicate 2 additional school choices to the standard 5 that they had in the past. These 2 additional choices were selected from a cluster of schools that were within a 10-mile radius of their attending primary schools. 4,315, or 11.58%, of the students were placed in secondary level schools that are in proximity to the schools they currently attend. A further 778 students, or 2.09%, were placed manually in secondary level schools in proximity to the address they submitted at registration. Even though the tests and/or the components used to place students have changed over the past 3 years, the mechanism used to place students remains the same. We're therefore confident that even in this unprecedented COVID-19 crisis, the method used to place students this year is fair, reliable, and consistent with what previously existed.
She further announced that 4,315 of the students were placed in secondary level schools that are in proximity to the schools they currently attend.
The results from students' performance in grade 4 in 2019 show that more than 50% of all students are at the proficient or highly proficient level in language arts, and 48% of students were proficient or highly proficient for mathematics. It must be noted that majority of the students were at the developing level for mathematics in 2019. In terms of the grade 6 test, the ability test that was done this year assesses how well students are able to reason with numbers and words. The two skills assessed in this test are quantitative and verbal reasoning. The distribution for the ability test remains normal, and students are therefore performing at the expected levels based on the ministry's assessment.
Minister Williams said that in addition to the usual channels available for retrieving students' scores and placement information, the ministry has also offered online access to the results.
In addition to the usual channels available for retrieving students' scores and placement information, the ministry has also offered online access to the results, and this is available at parents.dpisonline.com, and I'll repeat that: parents, P-A-R-E-N-T-S, .dpisonline, all one word, .com. This site is designated to present parent reports to all parents and guardians of students who are transitioning from primary level institutions to high schools.
Reporting for Mello TV News, I'm Carol Dean Johnson.
And those are some of the stories making news. We will return with other stories as Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Desmond McKenzie yesterday blasted the opposition party-controlled Westmoreland Municipal Corporation, WMC, for its failure to complete its share of work on the almost $50 million parish infirmary, even after funds were provided. And Member of Parliament for St. James East Central Edmund Bartlett says work has begun on the road leading into the communities of Johns Hall and Springmount. But first, we'll go to a break and then join Christopher Scott with the very latest in sports.